Hey guys, welcome to Culture Connection. Sponsored by Embrace the Power, or better so, produced by Embrace the Power. Hey, we're here with Dr. Jennifer Blalock, who is an awesome educator, and she is
Yes.
that's what I'm talking about. Awesome educator, and we're going to talk about a couple of the complexities of education in the current environment in the early 21st century. Online education, students studying at home, the stress, anxiety, but also student athletes and how does that impact them? And with no further ado, I am not going to take the mic all day, so I'm going to flip it over to my boy Mike G to lead the way.
What is going on? Welcome, Jennifer. Welcome, everybody who's tuned in to Live, Coastal Connection, Embrace the Power, and much more shows coming towards your way. Thank you again, everybody. Once again, any comments, please leave it on the side. We're live as we can get. And once again, Ms. Jennifer, Dr. Ms. Jennifer Blaylock, welcome again and thank you. Anything?
Hey, happy Sunday. It is exciting to be here. I'm always a fan of all things that Vincent Buggs does, as well as you, Mike. You guys are incredible and doing wonderful things on the West Coast. And of course, I'm over here in Jacksonville on the East Coast, but a little East Coast, West Coast rivalry is not a bad thing, guys. You know what I'm saying? Let's show some love. Let's bring it. It's one sunshine state, right? We're all one state, and it's all about the unity. So I'm excited to be here.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you're probably a Gator fan. So I know, even though I'm a no, I'll let that slide. But like I told you before, my dad's a graduate of Texas Southern University, like your daughter. And
yeah.
I just want to say, hey, we do have that in common. Oh, however, I did not pledge Alpha Phi Alpha. I pledged Me Phi Me. With that going no further ado, hey Jen, give us a little background about who you are so the audience knows.
Outstanding. Yeah. So it's my pleasure to do that. I tell people I am a first generation college graduate. I am also a first generation professional. And what that means is I was one of the first people in my household of my siblings. My mom had an 8th grade education. And so she really just imbued in us a desire to change your life through the transformational power of education. And so I loved school and I never doubted I would go to college. I had no idea how to pay for it, but it was a pathway to help, right? Pay for it. Who needs to know about that, And so I went to a 4-year college straight away. After that, I had a very transformational experience in AmeriCorps National Civilian Corps, NCCC. What up, NCCC? I was in the 2nd class in history, and I took my very first airplane flight from Pennsylvania to Charleston, South Carolina.
Wow.
And worked in some urban core schools, got to see real, I grew up in poverty, didn't really know it because I just, I went to school and that was really sort of my world. I read a lot of books. And in Charleston, there's some grave disparity. And so I stayed in North Charleston, which is right around the military base. And if you've ever been there, it's a stark contrast, right, from the Battery and all those beautiful areas where there's million and billion dollar historic homes. And so I started to see the rest of the world of America, really, and how important and critical access to quality education was. And so,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so after that, I married a Navy guy and moved to Mississippi. So I've just been in the South, right? The South loves me. And I actually love the South because I think there's a lot of work to do here. And I'm very, very passionate about that. And so my very first post-secondary or higher education job was at the University of Southern Mississippi.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Go Southern
Mississippi.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason I like to share that is because we're going to talk about some important things today. But that was in 1998. So do the math on that. That was a long time ago, right? And I took my very first online class in 1998 at the University of Southern Mississippi.
Wow.
At that time, they offered a master's in social work program that was primarily online. And then they also used something called interactive video, very kind of similar to what we're doing now, except they didn't have we could see the teacher from the Hattiesburg campus. They did all kinds of innovative things. And it helped me, a working parent whose spouse at the time was overseas. And, I had a toddler, and I was able to get a master's degree in adult education. So I started to understand the process of andragogy. how to teach people things that matter to them in a meaningful way that they can immediately transfer to the world of work, and connect the practice to the application. And so I became very passionate about that. And I was able to work in higher education. And then I went to Florida, which I always tell people is my grown-up home state. I adopted it because I love it. Once you come to Florida, like, it is fantastic. I love Florida. And I will say this, Florida has been an innovator in education in a lot of different ways. And one of them is something I'm extremely passionate about. And most of my career has been in the community college sector. Wow. And what I feel about the community college and why it's so strong in the state of Florida is they have the historic 2+2 for seamless transfer. They lead the nation in accelerated pathways for high school students, whether it's through the collegiate high school, dual enrollment, dual credit.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. International baccalaureate. There are so many students graduating. They've been doing it not just for 10 years, for 20, 30 years, who graduate with their Associate of Arts transfer degree, their first 2 years done free of cost, and their high school diploma on the same day. That's a win for the entire state of Florida. That's a win for the talent pipeline. That's a win for parents. It's a win-win, right? And so I worked at Florida Keys Community College, which is now called College of the Keys. They offer some baccalaureate degrees, because another thing that Florida did very well is they saw the need for community colleges to offer baccalaureate programs in a community college format, and to do so at that same cost. And there's a lot of working adults out there balancing families, balancing work responsibilities, who feel comfortable on the community or state college campus. And so Florida did that well. We call them the Great 28 for a reason. And that's why 28 state colleges, and they all offer a baccalaureate degree and 2-year degrees.
Yeah,
and so,
but the thing is, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the thing is that the challenges, and you brought up a great point, is the challenges of the single parent and the people that are aspiring after, in COVID, people lost their jobs, trying to get education. Some people from services are having to go back to school now and get education because they realize service jobs are great, but during the pandemic, they lost their income. So do you see an impact of people now having to go back and kind of revisit their lives from an online perspective?
It's not just people in the service industry, Vince. It's every single one of us, because the technology today, when you look at your first phone, we were just talking about this at one of my, with some of my colleagues. Remember having a flip phone, right? You thought you were cool.
Roller. What you talking about?
Oh, you still got one, right? But you had to master that technology, right? And now, we do think this is a computer. This is a portable computer.
Absolutely.
And understanding how to use it in your personal life is one thing. Understanding how to transfer that digital literacy to the world of work is something we all need to do. How many of us in corporate America 10 years ago would say, oh, I want to have a video conference? No, we need that face-to-face, right? That can't be replaced. Guess what? It has to be. And there are benefits to that, so that you and the three of us can meet here today and have a meaningful conversation versus me driving over to Tampa, which of course I would love to do, or you driving over to Jacksonville. It brings us together and it cuts out many of those barriers. And so everybody needs to constantly be reskilling, upskilling. I have a doctorate, which many consider a terminal degree. It's not anymore. I am actually enrolled in a program through Arizona State University to become a certified public manager, because in addition to working in post-secondary, I'm really passionate about working in city government.
What's the difference? What's the difference in that?
In working. So good question. So one thing we learned during the pandemic is who made the rules about your masks, about, curfews, about pandemic access, right? City government. Local government is imperative. It's integral for people to get involved, be aware, and to take advantage of their city services, your municipal services, right, your tax rates on your city and local, those kind of things, right? So all of those things are very, very important. And so it's about city government and understanding how local governance is critical during times of crisis, during times of success, right? Mm-hmm. How the CARES Act funding, how that was applied, or the access that people had. So your city government, your city council, your mayor, they make those decisions. Wow. Things happening at the state level, right? How many times have we seen mayors over the last 2 years on television speaking on CNN a lot.
Right.
You know more mayors and more governors across the United States through this pandemic than you ever have before. I guarantee you that. And so because of that, I'm very passionate about that work as well, because it's all about access. You can't just look at post-secondary without looking at K-12. You just can't, because they are a partnership if you want things to be successful. And I know you all have Hillsborough over there.
Right.
They're doing great things. I believe they're still called Hillsborough Community College. Is that right, Vince?
Right. We got Hillsborough Community College, and they do the dual enrollment. You know, I think the biggest challenges that most people are facing within our area is that you have to stand back and look at cost effectiveness, what the current environment is, and what jobs are available for you. Because I think the biggest thing with the generation now is trying to get a degree that you actually can make a livable wage at. And so I think that's one of the struggles. But the dual enrollment, watching seniors be able to finish 2 years of school before they graduate, that's, I mean, honestly, that is a blessing in disguise, because it's going to cut the cost for them to go to college. I mean, and you are an advocate of how people do distance learning from. Oh, let me start back, because I'm a history major, so I'm going to just drop the mic real quick down this one. How you started from.
Don't fall asleep, Mike. Don't fall asleep.
No. Great information. I have some questions. It's coming.
Bro, you started correspondence. From correspondent courses to e-learning to, and by the way, if anybody has any comments for Jennifer, Jay, drop them in the comment block, and we'll ask her the questions. But looking at it from correspondence to e-learning to distance learning to now straight up blown up, online learning is a huge journey that we've been through in the educational. And I think we're still learning that platform and how to make it work, because bandwidth seems to be the problem always.
Yeah.
You know, so
question, Jennifer, like, here goes my question. What is your opinion on online learning? Do you think it's effective in any way? Do you think it's a mess? Because I went to school online, and I went to school physically, so it was like a pinball. It was crazy. It wasn't fun.
Right.
It really wasn't. But it's just my opinion. Online, they put a little more pressure. It's more reports due. It's more this. It's more that. Yeah. So it gets a little stressed, especially if you're raising a family, so forth and so on. So what is your opinion on that? Like, are you with it, or should we just turn back to physical schools if things get back to normal? I'm
with it. I'm with both, because we are coming to a society, and I call it sort of a fast food society. I could order something from Amazon right now, and maybe, depending on where I live in the country, have it by tonight, right?
Yes.
So yeah. So when we look at education, it has been completely disrupted, and it now needs to be completely consumer driven. If Vince wants to study cyber mechanics or cybersecurity and ballet, he should be able to do that. He can create his own journey. And people are used to that, because if you go on Coursera, if you go on Udemy or Udemy, you can go online to any of those, LinkedIn Learning, and get what you want when you want it. You can do it from your phone. So I think online learning, hybrid learning, it is effective. We can't shy away from it anymore. I tell you that story about 1998 because it is 2021, folks, and we have not made the advances that we have needed to make, because we're digging our heels in and saying face-to-face is the only way that works, and it's not.
Whoa.
No, that's a good point. Shame on us. Shame on us for not embracing, and it's about embrace the power, shout out to Vince, for not embracing the benefits of technology and distance learning until we had to. And then even when we had to, we said, oh, I don't want to do this, right? We said, this isn't going to work. We went in with that negative framing, and it's not true. If we use the tools that are available to us and we add innovation, we can absolutely make it successful. I'm not saying it's for everybody. I'm not saying it's the only answer, but I'm saying it is part of the solution. And it has to be the long-term strategic. Our teachers, they need to be better trained and given more resources. Our parents, I know parents are frustrated. It's brain drain out there. I don't want to work all day and teach my child. I get that. We have got to create resources for everybody, access for everybody, so they can be successful at doing what you're saying. If I need to go into the school, I can do that. If I need to work from home today, I see that flexibility. I really see a future of Vince logs in on, and I log in on the morning. I say, okay, I'm going to go to school today. I'm not going to go to school tomorrow. I'm going to do home learning. Right. I really feel like it's going to become more a la carte. Find what you need, find your learning style, and then be successful and build your pathway to success, whatever that looks like.
Well, yeah, but see, this is the thing you just brought up. A key point is I was watching in several segments and I was reading something the other day, and they were talking about employees now, the new generation of employees, and I'm talking the ones in their mid 30s, late 20s, that have just had kids, or early 40s. They are now starting to request, I need X amount of time to work from home. I need X amount of time to be able to do this, because after trying to teach a kindergarten class online for a year, they've learned that, hey, I really miss Miss Thompson.
Yeah, sure.
Because people don't realize the challenge of teaching from home. It is a massive challenge. And a lot of people, before it was like, it's always the teacher, this and that. But now I think people have a more holistic understanding of the journey. And if we got any teachers out there, I'd love you to chime in on their experiences. Because Jen, I'm telling you, this is making a difference in the way people see teachers now, which they probably need to get paid more, but also see the platform of how do we get better education to the younger group, the K through 6, so they have a strong foundation of grammar, math, and all those other things.
I agree. And they don't just need those skills, they need digital literacy. And the other thing, the assumption that we're rooting all of this on is that things, when they were face-to-face, were highly effective. I don't want people to be upset with me. There are some incredible teachers out there, but you can't tell me that we don't need to disrupt education as a whole. There are kids who are disengaged in the face-to-face classroom. Correct. In the K through 20 experience. The same challenges we're facing in online are happening in face-to-face classrooms. And it's about training. It's about innovation. It's about embracing different learning styles. Yesterday was National Daughter Day. All these national holidays. Who can keep up with them, right? So I have a 23-year-old, as you know, who was a D1 athlete. And she was not an easy kid in the classroom. She has ADHD. We did not medicate her for much of her childhood, which maybe was the right decision, maybe wasn't. I had so many discipline calls, right? I had a teacher who would.
What do you expect? I know the feeling.
Yeah. So, and literally, Vince, Mike, I would hear things like, she's not going to graduate from high school. Every year, it was a fight to get her in the next grade, right? So, this is a kid now that has graduated, is working on her master's. Is she not as equipped, to succeed as somebody else? She just learns differently. And trust me, I get it. I would not want to be her teacher. I had to hire tutors because I got it. I was like, oh no, this is I can't do it. And not everybody has that ability to do that, right? I know that I was blessed to be able to hire a tutor. But my point with that is the way Mike likes to learn, the way you like to learn, the way I like to learn. We all should have the opportunity to learn in a way that complements our skill set and our learning style.
Right.
Yeah, well, my opinion on that is I'm not a teacher, and I don't have a master's degree or none of that, guys. But I think
you have IT.
I do. Yes, I do IT. I know computer.
Invaluable skill.
Thank you. But I see it as this. Maybe we should study more of how kids learn and put them in the group as fit be, if I can say that. And I think it will structure a little more, okay, well, he learns a little slower. We should put him here and just be more comfortable in the environment of how kids learn.
Oh.
I think the online learning for younger kids, I don't know. It's just.
You got a question for Jen.
Gilla, yes, I agree. Hybrid is great because it's reinforcing multiple types of skill sets. And it is an opportunity for people to build their educational skills. And Mike, I'm going to challenge you. You said kindergarten and not good for. How many times have you been in a restaurant and you see the parents with the kids and what are they on? Their iPad.
Yes.
So that's a cop out. It's a cop out. If we use gamification to create rich learning experiences, these kids can log in and tell you how to play a game
That is true.
Right.
That is
Right?
true.
So what are we missing? Because they care about that. Why aren't we helping them care? But so Gila, I would say absolutely, I'm a fan of hybrid learning. We are going to be in a world of work where we're going to have to do multiple things.
Hey, so again, Dr. Kuntz Gila is at the Israel Institute of Technology and Learning in Israel. So we got to shout out to
what's
Israel.
up. Yes, she knows what's up. Absolutely. Because there's just not going to be any industry sector where you do not need to know technology. Driving a CDL right now, driving a tractor trailer, do you know they now have computers? Think about every element. Auto mechanics. Do they not need to? Every car you drive now has technology integrated or infused into its ability. So we're not doing the next generation of learners or ourselves any favors by not preparing ourselves for multi-domain learning. And I'm telling you, we've got to prepare.
So use the term multi-domain. I like that term.
Multimodal learning, absolutely.
The complexes of multi-domain, you're talking about a little bit of brick and mortar, a little bit of e-learning, a little bit of face-to-face, just different platforms, but all in a hybrid, all within a holistic platform for education.
Yeah. I think too, Mike and Vince, I would ask you, what is your learning style? Do you know it? Do you know how to articulate it?
Struggle. The struggle is real.
I'm no Einstein, I'll be honest with you.
But you're saying that, but you learned skills. Like Michael, how did you learn to use this platform? You're self-taught.
I learned myself. My skill is I'm more hands-on. I like that. I get it.
There you go. You're
somebody teaching me things.
You are a tactile learner. You just demonstrated the elements of andragogy. I encourage people to look up andragogy because I actually think it should go down in K-12 as well. It's the idea of how adults learn, and it has to be meaningful for my everyday life. How many times have you heard somebody say about geometry or algebra? When am I ever going to use this? Right? Yeah. I'm not dogging algebra or geometry because I think they do teach you good skills, but building a connection between, that's a valid question, right? Mm-hmm. Like if I'm going to invest time in what's this called? StreamYard, I want to know it's important. And so Michael was like, I got to learn this for the podcast. Correct. You saw the benefit. So we have to start creating those real world connections so our students see the ROI. Their return on investment. That's not a bad question to ask. They definitely deserve that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Well, I get challenged all the time and asked all the time is, why do I need to learn this? Or why do I need to learn about a bunch of people in the past that don't benefit me to make money now? And you start thinking about this generation now, they are woo-woo now. They're not like, hey, let's worry about what happened in the past. Those are woo-woo now. How do I get mine now? And it's funny that I hear it more and more often from this generation. But I tell them, you got to have some education. You got to have a baseline before you can move forward. Now, I don't want to take too much time because we only got like 8 or 10 more minutes. But go ahead, Mike. I don't want to hold you up. Any questions you got real quick?
In the workforce, how does that come into light? Like you say you work with a lot of things in workforce. Would you like to break that down a little bit?
Absolutely. So one of the things we hear a lot is not only can people not find people, right, to fill jobs, they can't find the right people with the right skills. How often do we hear that? Okay. So there are things that I would tell everybody out there. You can future-proof your career if you learn certain skills. You really can. The robots can't touch you. If you know how to communicate and build a relationship with somebody, it's because robots cannot build relationships with one another. They have to be programmed. We can organically and naturally solve problems. We can learn a new skill without programming, right? We have the power of choice and decision making. So getting those skills that align with the workforce, that's why I think virtual learning is great because we can give people on-demand opportunity immediately and cut down the cost. And I'll give you, just a quick example. If there's a new emerging technology, right, that's happening over in Israel or in Germany or cutting edge technology, do we have to wait for it to go into books? Do we have to wait for it to be, something that can be replicated? Or can we collaborate immediately and start those conversations? And so the new world of work is going to require, and I said it here first, guys, the new resume is going to be half of a transcript. It's going to show me not just what you learned, but what you did in those classes, like portfolio based. Mm-hmm. And then it's also going to be about the jobs you have and the skills you're continuing to learn. You are never again going to be able to just I have my bachelor's. That's it. I don't have to go back to school.
Oh, those days are gone.
Those days are gone. You're going to have to get certificates. You're going to have to keep reskilling and upskilling. And that is everybody, whether you're a doctor, whether you're president of the United States. We need people to continue to build their skills so they're competitive and they can keep up with the pace of technology and the rate of change that is, in a whole new level than we've ever seen it before. I think it's only going to get faster. And
but that brings a lot of stress, anxiety on certain people, because I was one of those kids that struggled studying, so I had to study longer.
Sure.
But I still got the results, walking around 2 master's degrees. But when you look at it, that's going to bring a level of stress now on people. And I tell my daughter this all the time. She just finished up her master's in Zurich, Switzerland. Yeah. So I told her, I said, you finish school, go get your master's. She's like, Dad, no, you're going to get your master's. So I got another one right now. I'm trying to push the bear to go get her master's, because the way the platform works these days is the master's is the new bachelor's arts.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. And the other thing is there's no excuse to not get it, right? You can get it anywhere. You can do it online. You can earn your doctorate. I can be here in Jacksonville and take courses at Harvard, right? Like, wow. It's completely blown up any geographical barriers. So if we approach it from the opportunity versus the stress of this extra responsibility, no, it's an opportunity to continue to grow. And I think flipping the script on that, you talk about the anxiety of it. I almost think we might need to get rid of grades personally, because that's where the anxiety comes. Right. The testing and the grades, right? That if I don't get an A on this, if I don't.
That's a good one. That's a good one there. You have a few minutes left, and that's a nice one, because when I was in school, that's what stressed me out. It limits me from learning the situation or the topic matter, whatever it may be, because I was scared of failing, scared of the test, fail the test, scared for the D and the S. And stuff like that. So you're right. I think we should maybe do levels or some other things, colors. I don't know. But you're right, though. I think we focus too much on the grade, too much on the tests, on the subject matter, where the kids are like, oh, if I fail, I'm going to get a C, or I'm going to get left back.
Right.
Like that. So it becomes more of it's blinding a little bit.
And I'm going to leapfrog on Mike's theory is that standardized testing. Everybody knows me. I argue this all the time is, how do you determine what somebody is at 11 to 12? In the 12th or 11th grade, how smart someone is because they couldn't pass the standardized test. And what really I see all the time is that students go, "Oh, you got to have a standardized test because you have to have a benchmark." I don't agree that has to be the benchmark to determine someone's future. Look at some countries. They have to take a test at their senior year, and if they don't pass that test, their life is put in a certain category.
Absolutely.
For their entire life, because they didn't meet a certain grade on their exam.
Yeah.
And so in the SAT and the ACT, got it, but I don't think holistically a human being, because they don't do good on the ACT or ACT, are not capable of going to college. Because if that was the case, I would have never made it through college if that was the benchmark. But thank goodness there should be a holistic approach to looking at a human being.
I agree. And I think it should be project-based. I think it should be show me what you can do. There are people who their learning style is, I'm going to do great on a test. But does that necessarily translate to success in college or to success in the world of work? No, it doesn't, right? Now, in some instances, yes, there's a correlation or a connection. But I'm a big fan. You know what young people and people really of all ages, one of their number one fears is what we're doing right now, public speaking. They do not like to communicate in front of other people and in front of people they don't know. Okay. And has this ability that what we're doing right now, has this benefited you in your career? Absolutely. Right.
But that's my youngest daughter. My poster child is my youngest daughter. Absolutely smart kid, can get after everything. But when it comes to public speaking or having to stand up for herself to speak out about something to a stranger for a prominent position, she shies away from it. And I tell her, you have to push yourself over your barriers of being shy about things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say it's been a pleasure to chat with you guys today. I could chat about education all day long, especially the future of education.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. It was interesting. We might have to have a part 2 of this, because there's some other things, like we can be all day playing back and forth about this, because the system needs to be changed, like you said, but would they change it? The grades and the stuff and the tests. And I'm glad that was interesting you said that. And that kind of, put a little niche in my head. We might have to do a part 2.
Oh, no, we will do a part 2. We'll do a part 2.
if I had to say kind of the biggest message I would say to everybody is the status quo, it's not enough anymore. It's not enough in education. It's not enough in workforce development. We have to challenge the status quo. We have to continue to be innovative, creative, push boundaries, be more inclusive, and challenge ourselves for excellence, chasing that excellence and helping our young people, our learners of all ages achieve their full potential. And I know that's something we're all passionate about.
Yes. And Dr. Cook said, thank you, Jen. Hey, guys, I want to thank everybody and definitely Dr. Blalock for being on Coastal Connection. Embrace the power. As we always do, is we believe in education. We believe in supporting our police force. We believe in supporting our community. And more importantly, you need to be supporting the educators that teach you every day to understand your rights so you can exercise those rights. And with that, me and Mike always say, keep it rolling.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Good show, guys. Good show. All right.
All right, sure.